Late in the evening of April 14, 1912, the RMS Titanic's maiden voyage was shattered when it struck an iceberg, causing the ship to sink into the North Atlantic approximately 3 hours later. More than 1,500 passengers and crew members died. Only 700 people were saved. Now, more than 100 years later, an exhibition showcasing the Titanic is available to attend. Is the show worth attending? Watch this video to find out. When you enter the exhibition, you are assigned a boarding pass for an actual passenger from Titanic's voyage. At the end of the tour, you can view a list of all passengers and crew to see if you are one of the survivors. It's a bit ghoulish, perhaps, but it does tend to personalize the experience. The tour winds its way through a series of rooms with artifacts and recreations. In the first two rooms, you see a large model of the ship surrounded by technical information about the Titanic and many personal effects from the passengers and crew members. Some rooms include furniture to match what was on the Titanic. An entryway takes you from the exhibit back to 1912 as you step into a hallway recreated from the Titanic. This is just an empty hallway, but I really like the effect. It's like you were literally walking through the Titanic. This experience was similar to walking through the Stanley Hotel and feeling as though you'd stepped into the movie The Shining. The next room features a bewildering array of china, silver, and crystal that was used for the various classes of passengers. It's astounding how many dishes, crystal pieces, and other accoutrements were used to present a meal to the passengers. At this point, it's worth mentioning how substantial the differences were between the classes. First and third class accommodations were entirely different experiences. The dinnerware on display really contrasts the sheer opulence of first class dining with the experiences of those in second or third class, for example. Another scene that showcased the differences between the classes was the sample sleeping quarters from the luxury first cabin and third class sections. Here is the first class cabin for one couple. Here are the bunks for numerous third class passengers, all in one space. First-class passengers were literally segregated from the lower classes. In fact, the stairways between the decks were locked throughout the voyage to keep the riffraff from entering the first-class areas. First-class passengers paid a massive price for those accommodations, and I'm all for them getting the luxury they paid for. Unfortunately, locking the stairways between decks meant that when the collision occurred, many third-class passengers were unable to reach the lifeboats because they were trapped below by the locked doors. Lifeboats were released half full when many passengers were kept from the decks who could have filled those spaces. People died because of this class separation, an aspect of the tragedy that is not as well known. By the way, it should be noted that many, probably most of the artifacts in this exhibition come from Titanic's sister ship Olympic rather than the Titanic itself. The items are identical from ship to ship, but most of the items on display were not retrieved from the ocean floor, but came from another ship. One of the best spots in the exhibition is the recreation of the grand staircase. Like the hallway I showed you a moment ago, and the promenade deck you'll see in a few minutes, The staircase truly does make you feel as though you've stepped onto the Titanic. Another recreation from the ship is the coal-driven boiler room. This is actually far smaller than what the engines were on the Titanic, but again, it creates a sense of presence on the ship that enhances the tour experience. Leaving the boiler room, you step into another recreation from the ship, one of the best in my opinion, as you stroll onto the Promenade deck. You look from the deck into a clear starlit sky, just as first-class passengers did on April 14th. Even with the brilliant array of stars against the black sky, you gain a sense just how dark this moonlit still night was, and how difficult it would have been for lookouts to see the iceberg directly ahead. I really enjoyed the impact of this moment in the exhibition. You can imagine the passengers gazing out over the ocean and stars, oblivious to the nightmarish truth that disaster loomed before them. A dark hallway features a ship's bell for the Titanic, a portent of what is about to happen. Quotes from messages from crew members and other ships are displayed on the walls, most notably, "Iceberg, right ahead." The hallway leads to a dark room, where a life-size outline of a lifeboat is drawn out on the floor. This is a very effective way to give a sense of scale and emphasizes the tragedy that so few lifeboats were actually filled to capacity before they left the ship. You might overlook the lifeboat, however, because this room also contains a recreation of the iceberg, illuminated in blue light to recreate the starlit view the ship's outlooks had for the impending disaster. You can touch the iceberg. Spoiler alert, it's ice. And unfortunately, some people have gouged their fingers into it. Still, it's a powerful moment on the tour. One of the last rooms features a list of all passengers and crew members, showing who died and who survived. This really emphasizes the incredible scale of this disaster. I compared my boarding pass to the list and discovered, not surprisingly, that the third-class passenger who was assigned to me did not survive. Near the end of the tour, video screens show scenes from the deep water dives to the Titanic, and they have recreated a small debris field to show you what the site looks like now. There is also a display of memorabilia from the movie Titanic, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. The tour finishes with a walkthrough of the obligatory gift shop. I had to get some first-class china for Monique. She really liked these mementos. Some facts about the Titanic Exhibition. Currently, the show is located in Dallas, Texas. This is where we saw it. We attended the exhibit twice, once on a Saturday and once during the week. As you can see here, the weekend showing was packed with people. Go on a weekday to reduce crowds. It takes 1 or 2 hours to walk through the exhibit. It's self-paced, so you can go as fast or slow as you'd like. The exhibition has lots of seats scattered throughout, so you can always find a place to sit and rest if you need one. By the way, there's a virtual reality display available for an additional price. This basically amounted to some VR gaming stations set up in the gift shop, and we didn't do this. I believe the exhibition is wheelchair accessible in Dallas. It's located in what was formerly a Mervyn's department store, but you should confirm its accessibility at the exhibit's website if this is important for you. So what did we think of the exhibition? We enjoyed it and thought it was well worth the price of admission. We learned a great deal about the ship and the disaster. Monique enjoyed the passengers and crew's personal mementos, such as postcards that were sent from the ship before it started its trek across the Atlantic. Both of us thought the recreations, the hallway, staircase, sleeping quarters, etc., were remarkably impactful. And the amazing display of china and serviceware brought the opulence of this amazing ship home in a way nothing else could have done. As I said before, many of the artifacts on display are from the Olympic and not the Titanic. They're identical to what was on the Titanic, but technically speaking, this is almost more of an Olympic exhibition than one for the Titanic. But that's nitpicking. You still leave the exhibition having experienced the luxury, scale, and terrible tragedy that were the Titanic, which makes the exhibition well worth going to see. We hope you enjoyed our video. Follow the links on screen now to view more videos from Family Travel Photos.